Hi, it's Dr. Fox again, licensed psychologist, state of Texas. And so this is part 2 of borderline personality disorder and relationship dysfunction, the tendency for dependency. And so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the second group of 3 interpersonal functioning patterns. Now in the last video, we went over the first 3 interpersonal functioning patterns that tend to be related to core content of borderline personality disorder. Now in this video, we're going to go over the final 3. Now as I describe them, I want you to ask yourself if this is something you feel inside yourself about how you see and feel about yourself and those in a relationship with you. Not just romantic. This could also be in work relationships, family relationships, friendships too. So all of these things, how do these play out? And a lot of us, I think, when we hear relationship dysfunction, we think, oh, well, romantic relationship, but not necessarily. So we can broaden that out to that. How does this factor into work relationships, family relationships, and friendships as well? So let's get right into it. So this is the first one in this video we're going to talk about is that it's anxiety about autonomy and independence. And what happens is a lot of folks with borderline personality disorder, they may hold the core belief of incompetence, that they lack faith in their ability to achieve or to successfully tackle tasks on their own. And this leads to conflicts about their independence because they don't feel that they can achieve things on their own. They resort to finding others who can take care of them, who can do these things for them, and by doing this, what ends up happening is they end up forfeiting their wishes and attempts for autonomy and independence. So you give up that autonomy and independence just to stay in this relationship. And that can really, talk about tendency for dependency, I mean, that can really set you up for that, because this puts you back, just as we talked about in the other video, about being in that relationship as a need to be in that relationship as opposed to a want to be in that relationship. Okay? And that's talked more fully in the previous video. Now the next one, this is called that dependent and depressive factor. And this is when you have feelings of depression that are conflicted with autonomy. As individuals with borderline personality disorder, they are reported to be depressed as a consequence of their fear of losing a significant other because they do not believe that they can survive on their own. So this is that depressive dependency issue, and this is that dependent depressive factor. And it's that that you feel like you're trapped in this relationship, you need to be in this relationship, and because you feel like you have no other options, perhaps it's not a healthy relationship, and part of you knows that, but you don't feel like you can get out, or the loss of that significant other is so intense that kicks off or maintains this depression. Now I've also done a video on depression and borderline personality disorder. I'll put the link here, and it is different for folks with borderline personality disorder traits who experience depression. So it's important to be aware of that too. And this is an additional factor related to that as it pertains to relationships as well. Now the last one, and this is successful interactions, is the desire, right, to be irresponsible. Now the last interpersonal pattern that we're going to talk about, that this is the successful interactions, is the desire to not be irresponsible, such as to take responsibility for our behavior, our life, our feelings, and how we see the world, and you accept others for who they are and where they are, and feelings of pride and confidence in yourself and in the relationship. And I think sometimes it's hard for folks with borderline personality disorder to really see their partners or to see their coworkers or to see people that are in their interpersonal circle because of this distortion that comes with borderline personality disorder traits. And this distortion sort of feeds that core content and causes and maintains those maladaptive patterns. And that's not what we want to do. We want to get to the core content, have an authentic view as to how we see the world, and interact with that authentic view so that we can be efficacious, we can interact effectively, we can see our partners for who they are, and really be able to determine, is this a relationship I want to be in? And if you don't, what are steps to get out? and sort of looking at that, but recognizing that that doesn't mean you lose who you are. The relationship doesn't make you who you are, and I know that there's a lot of factors of borderline personality disorder that make people feel that way. If I'm not in a relationship, I don't exist. If somebody doesn't tell me they love me, or if somebody doesn't do A, B, C, D, then I don't exist and I have no worth. But that external validation, that constant external validation, puts you in a deficit position. And that is a lot of times where that borderline personality disorder, where it wants to keep you. And that's a difficult and hard way to live, and to do it differently is scary, certainly understandable, but it's not impossible. And what I want you to ask yourself in these three interpersonal patterns that we discussed, ask yourself which of these you engage in. Does this relate to your core content and what your surface structure behaviors, what you do to try and manage these core content issues, right? What's underlying that, to try to manage that? What are those maladaptive patterns that feed this core content? Now, if you tend to use maladaptive patterns, which a lot of folks do, try and find other coping strategies. What are some positive coping strategies that you can use when your core content is ignited, is kicked off? Okay, and then now try to use this information to grow beyond that tendency for dependency. You really can do it. I know it's hard and certainly scary, but the idea of being alone, I understand, is scary for a lot of folks with borderline personality disorder and otherwise, not just for folks that have this particular personality disorder. But it's important to be comfortable being alone and being who you are. And once you're able to do that, you find that you get into relationships more on a want than a need. And you can define your borderline personality disorder. It doesn't have to define you. And that is a hard place to get to, but you can get there. It's really possible. It really, really is. And my hope is that these videos that I make, and this one in particular, that it empowers you with the knowledge so that you can make choices to identify your core content and control your surface structure behaviors and make them more adaptive. And when you control and manage them, you are more likely to make adaptive and healthy choices, and that's what we want. Those healthy and adaptive choices that move you forward, that help you succeed, that give you a sense of self-satisfaction and worth. And a relationship can't do that for you. And it takes a while to learn that. It takes a while to really ingest that and digest that idea. But it's true that's where that healthy component is recognizing who you are as an individual, where your worth is and where your value is. And it's understandable to get caught in a relationship to try to find that, but the reality is it's not out there. And that this might sound cheesy, and I don't want to sound cheesy, but it's actually in here. It has to be. It's important to define who you are in that relationship. The relationship can't really define who you are. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds, and I think that we've been talking a lot about the issue that I just mentioned, and we want to certainly stay focused on that. So this is something that you can do, and you don't have to be dependent on these relationships. Is that it's about defining yourself, identifying what your patterns are, those interpersonal patterns, and lessen the degree of relationship dysfunction so that you can better manage relationships, be in a relationship that you want to be in. And there's such a different feel to being in a relationship you want to be in as opposed to one that you need to be in. And I hope that these videos were helpful for you. I appreciate your time and attention as always. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Leave any comments that you may have. A lot of people read those and they find a lot of benefit. I try to read them as well, as many as I can. And thank you all very much for your time and attention as always. And I appreciate it. And have a good day. Have a good night. And have everything great. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.